Hey, Masters. I am excited to be back for another masterclass with you all. Today, we're talking about mastering your money. Money is one of my favorite topics because, one, I've been through some money things, and when you know better, you do better. And not only do you do better, but you try to tell other people how they can do better as well so they can avoid the things that you did. Two, I think there was a season of life where I really believed, like, for my other believers in here, y'all may have gone through this. Like money was evil, right? Scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil, but I really treated money like it was evil. Like, oh my gosh, if I have too much money, I'm going to depend on money more than I depend on God. And so there was just a weird thing there that was happening. Um, but over the years, and honestly, even this year specifically, I have just seen the power that using your money correctly can have on yourself, on your family. And so I'm excited about today's training on mastering your money. We're specifically going to be talking about building a business on a budget and how that ties into money mastery because many of you all are in the startup stage of your business, and it can be, there are so many things that could be like tempting to use your money on. And what I know from my own experience is that a lot of times, whenever I would get paid, I'm like, oh, I'm about to get this new logo. I'm about to get these new, package. I'm gonna get some new packaging. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get that. And all of that is well and good. But what I have started to see is that I really need to invest in things that are going to lead to a greater return. Um, and that means like, okay, if I put $50 in, I'm expecting a minimum of $50 back or $100 back. And as someone's in branding, I know it's crazy for me to say that, but sometimes like the business cards, those can be helpful, but there's a lot of free tools you can use as well that have QR codes that you can use to scan people's, your business card directly into people's phones. So just thinking about those various things can really make a difference for you and the people that you're serving. So I am super pumped. I'm going to turn off all of my notifications so that nothing is interrupting our time together this afternoon. And once that is set, we will be good to go. As always, you all, once I put the replay up, if you have questions, let me know. You can post them directly underneath the video, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. And then if there is something that is, a little bit more personal that maybe you don't want to share, like as a comment, feel free to direct message me. That's one of the things I love about Circle is that you can direct message just like you can on a social media platform, any other social media platform. And so feel free to do that as well. So, as I said, today we're talking about mastering your money, specifically as it relates to building your business on a budget. And we're going to talk about quite a few things. We're going to talk about how to create your business budget. We're going to talk about determining what you should invest in first in your business and then what you should invest in next. We're going to talk about the startup costs that are associated with your business type. And then we're going to talk about the power of bartering because people be sleeping on that. Okay. So, first things first, I love this quote by Tiffany Aliche. She says that having pretty things does not mean that you're making money. And it ties into what I just said that a lot of times as business owners, our initial investments are into the outward facing things and not the inward facing things in our business. I can say, as somebody who has literally been an entrepreneur for almost a decade, which sounds insane to say, the things that have made the absolute difference in my business have really been more internal rather than external. Now, I love a good photo shoot. I'm always going to be on brand as best I can. But ultimately, I don't think me having really cute photos is the reason that people work with me. Things that I like investing in are back end systems like Honeybook, things like Flowdesk, things like Zapier. Apps are one thing, and then people, right? The people who help my company run. So my virtual assistant, social media manager, community manager that we will prayerfully be bringing on in the upcoming weeks. And so it's just important to know that even if people And this is helpful for you even as you're looking at other people's businesses and feeling like, oh man, they must be out here because they have this or they're going on this business trip or whatever the case may be. Sometimes people do have it, don't get me wrong, but sometimes people are investing money in places that are going to take a longer time to come back to them. So just keep that in mind as you are thinking about your money. So let's talk about creating a business budget, right? I really like to break down your business budget into three categories. I like to break it down into essentials, into opportunities, and to aspirations. So, first thing first is essentials. One of the things that I think is essential in any business is education. Now, this can be a free to low fee, and you can also have obviously higher ticketed offerings. Educating yourself can look like being a part of a community like this. It can look like taking a course. And then, like I said, on the free end, it can look like listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos. Those things are so helpful in the beginning stages of your business, especially when you're not 100% sure on how you want to monetize your idea, or you know how you want to monetize it, but you're trying to figure out how much that's going to cost you, like before you start to see a profit. Another essential is getting your EIN, which is free. And then your DBA, which is a doing business as license, is pretty cheap. I encourage people to get an LLC only because as I've built my business over time, DBA is a great place to start, which just allows you to get checks in your business name. So I could have a check that said Brands by Bree on it and I could deposit into my account because I have a doing business as license. But LLCs are really helpful because they limit your liabilities from your personal liability, or they limit you from like if someone were to sue your business and you don't have an LLC, then they are potentially going to get access to anything that has to do with you and your family. But when you have an LLC, it says, okay, well, my business got $5. So even if I'm doing well over here, if I personally have $1,000,000, if my business only has $5 and you sue me, well, guess what? You just get the $5. So that's really something to be mindful of, especially for people in this community who are moms, because we want to make sure that we're protecting our children's assets as well, right? So that's something that is an essential as well. And then things like a payment processor, y'all, get you a payment processor. I'm not a fan of Cash App. I'm not a fan of um, even Zelle. I know people like to use it because of like not getting any fees, but from an accountant standpoint, being able to show things on your taxes, like it just can get very murky. And so my personal belief is that you should get a payment processor like Stripe. Use a tool like HoneyBook, which is what I use. I use Stripe and HoneyBook. Some of my clients, for whatever reason, they're like if they try to put something on their card with HoneyBook, it doesn't work. Um, but that does cost a fee because they charge a fee in order for you to use their processor. But it is worth its weight in gold, and giving them a couple dollars off of the top of your fee is nothing compared to getting audited by the IRS and now you have to give a bunch of money because you weren't ready for it. So okay, go ahead. So then now we're going to talk about our opportunities, right? Some of the opportunities that you have as a business owner when it comes to your budget are things like a social media presence, which obviously that starts off as free and then can go up if you are doing things like running advertising. Y'all know I got your internet nephews over here, so if you ever see me look off camera, it's probably them. Um, if you are doing things like email marketing, there are some free services, but I don't recommend using them because it's kind of like you get what you pay for. What I like is that there are a lot of email marketing services that, if you really need to start at a lower amount, they'll kind of scale as your email list grows. I personally use Flowdesk. I think there is my delegation toolkit has links to, go ahead, boo. My delegation toolkit has links to Flowdesk, which is what I use, and then you'll get a 50% off coupon when you use that. What I like about that 50% off, like I think it's just indefinitely. Like I actually signed up for Flowdesk through someone else. Y'all. I signed up for Flowdesk through someone else a few years ago, and I'm still getting that 50% discount. So definitely sign up for them for email marketing. Another thing is graphics. Graphics don't have to cost a lot. Are you going to go? Okay. Graphics don't have to cost a lot, but they can cost a ton. It really just depends on your budget. But again, think about the things that are going to get you a return on your investment. So having a nice logo is cool, but even with this membership, I was able to launch before having my logo completed because I was just like, okay, let's make sure people are even signing up before I spend a bajillion dollars on a logo, right? I had things that were basic, like my color scheme. I had some general fonts that I was using to keep things looking consistent, but I didn't invest in a full blown logo until I was like, okay, this is a product that I'm going to be monetizing greatly. That's going to be really huge for my business. Lastly, for opportunities is advertising. And like I said, social media is free to sign up for an Instagram account or Facebook or whatever. But then when you start running ads, that's when you start to get into the cost a little bit. But Facebook ads are not super expensive. I know people can spend tens of thousands of dollars, but when you're just getting started, especially if you're just trying to get people to download your freebie or, maybe just to be aware of your page, there's a opportunity for you to be able to create a pretty reasonable budget that doesn't break the bank. So then lastly, our aspirations. When it comes to your business budget, when I think about aspirations, I think about things like investing in higher quality equipment, whether that be a camera. Listen, if y'all listen to my podcast, I got a Nikon Z30 this month, and I'm so excited about it because I've been shooting content on my phone, which I will continue to do because some stuff is just quick, right? But being able to use that for my YouTube videos, because I'm going back to my YouTube channel, like, it's epic. And so that is an equipment upgrade that I was able to make this year. But it was on one of my aspirations lists. I literally had that camera not technically in my cart because I didn't leave the tab open, but I had it up for a while. Um, and I just had that tab kind of open in my brain, like, okay, whenever we get the camera, we about to go. So I did that. And then my next big investment is going to be a new computer because it's just time to give little Bessie her rest. Okay, she has worked hard, and while I do so much work for my computer, it definitely makes sense to invest the money. But I have some other essentials, right, that I'm making sure I'm taking care of as I am growing the business. And then, of course, things like hiring a team. Now, when I say hiring a team, I mean someone that you plan on having on regularly, not just like a contractor that you have come maybe for a short term project. Maybe they like, I wouldn't say your logo designer is a part of your team necessarily, unless you're just always rolling out new products that need their own specific branding. But I'm talking about the thing like a VA or a social media manager or even a personal assistant who's helping you like with brand package development or whatever the case is. So those are things that you want to think about as you are building out your business budget. Now, when it comes to how to plan for this, um, because things often fluctuate in business, right? Especially if you're just getting started. I really like to think in terms of percentages because I have seen that saying, okay, I'm going to save 10% of whatever I bring in for the month, or I'm going to, tithe as a believer in Jesus Christ, I'm going to tithe 10%. Like that really helps to keep things firm, even when they don't really feel like they're on a firm foundation. So this can also help when, when you have your larger months, because again, the temptation could be, okay, we just got this large contract, I'm about to go shopping. But if you've already established that you're going to have a percentage that you pay yourself, that you're going to pay your team, then that helps you to stay on track with what it is that you said you're going to do initially. Now, new tip that I did not know, I recently completed a 4-week program on finance for small businesses, and they were saying that for taxes you're actually liable for like maybe 5 to 10% of your income. I'd been told to put 20% to the side for taxes. And I will say I've been able to verify that the lower percentage is correct because I paid the 20% last year and I got a notice in the mail a few weeks ago that said, hey, basically you overpaid on taxes and you're going to get this refund back. Obviously, it's better to overpay than to underpay because what you don't want is then be like, so why didn't you run us our checks? But I was really, really pleased that it was lower than what I anticipated because, 20%, like that's a good chunk of change, honey. Why are y'all getting some of this? I did the work, right? So being able to find out that that percentage was lower than I thought was really, really sweet. And you can just plan accordingly for you and your companies. Now, when I think about money, I also think about, um, give me a plate or a bowl. Give me that one right there. When I think about priorities, I also think about asking yourself what it is right here, Josh, right here. Asking yourself what it is that you want your money to accomplish. So when you look at that essentials, opportunities, and aspirations list, like what is it that you really see as a kind of I made it moment for your business? And then what is a reward that you could get yourself for growing your business to a specific level? I ask that because it keeps you from just impulse spending constantly. There's a ball right there. Everyone's coming down. Listen, this is the master your momentum. Word in momentum is mom. Get me a bowl. Get a bowl. So that's just something to think about. Like, I've had to ask myself that because, again, this has been a blessed year for my business, and I'm so grateful for that. And there have definitely been moments where I'm like, I'm about to go out here and I'm about to. And I said, wait, no. I set my focus for this year as far as like, the amount I'm paying myself was to save for a house and to just build up our overall savings, right? Like I want to have some money to put towards a down payment, and then I just want to build up our overall savings. So when I'm tempted to be like, okay, we about to go to Ulta and do this and do that, I'm like, but does that tie with the priorities that I said I had initially? So that's something that you want to be mindful of as you are budgeting and you're building. You're welcome. So let's talk about startup costs, y'all. All right, let's talk about startup costs. If these little boys, they laugh, little snack. Let's talk about startup costs. You're welcome. It's really going to depend on your business. If you have a product-based business or if you have a service-based business. One of my favorite things about running a service-based business is that the overhead is so low, especially if you don't have a physical office space. And even with me, I've been able to kind of get around that as well, in that I have a co-working space where I'm able to get mail and things like that. And the cost is less than $200 a month. So I'm not paying like I would be paying for rent. So that's just something to be mindful of. For product-based business, other costs that you need to be thinking about are things like inventory, whether you're trying to get shirts or mugs or materials because you make your own earrings, or journals or packaging. Things like a subscription to stamps.com where you can get your labels made. Just all of the things that have to go into the particular product that you are creating. Now, of course, there's drop shipping as an option if you're someone who doesn't really want to manage inventory. But the thing with drop shipping is that it's going to cut into your margin. So that's something to just think about as you are considering, the type of business that you either have started already, and maybe you're kind of looking back at the budget sheet and you're like, actually, maybe I do want to shift a little bit, or maybe I want to add a product element or a service element to my business so that I can be more efficient. But like I said, as far as service-based businesses, overhead is pretty low because you're paying for things like software, email marketing, Thank you all so much for your patience. And so thinking about things like that, you're even with a phone with a good camera, I mean, you can write off a portion of your phone bill when you have a small business until you are able to elevate, get a whole business line, So that's just something else to be considered. So we've covered a lot of things, y'all. We've talked about how to create a business budget, determining what you should invest in first, and then what you want to invest in next based on the priorities that you've identified for your business. We talked about the startup costs that are associated with particular business types. And then lastly, I really want to talk about bartering, because bartering is a very practical way to start mastering your money. And I say that because a lot of times we feel like, I won't speak for y'all. I'll say for me, sometimes I take pride in the ability to be able to purchase something, whether it's for my business, whether it's for myself, whether it's for my family. And something that I've had to learn is, what it's like what people say about being able to, the rich staying rich and the poor staying poor. Like the rich stay rich because they're like, okay, we gonna use these coupons. We got this buy one get one free thing. They are recognizing that they can use their money differently. And so when it comes to bartering, do not hesitate to ask people. If the worst that they can say is no. I give the example in some workshops that I've done in person, that when I was first getting started with my podcast, I actually was able to barter ad space on my podcast for free photos. And the photos were beautiful. And I met the photographer, I saw her portfolio. So it wasn't just like I went up to a random person and was like, hey, I'll let you be on my podcast if you take some photos. You want to vet the people you're talking to. And you still want to get a quality product. It should be mutually beneficial. But she had sent me a package, and I was looking at the numbers and I was like, I can't afford that. But rather than tell her I couldn't afford it, I said, hey, I was looking over everything you have. I was looking over your portfolio, and I recognized that we have a really similar ideal customer. And so I was wondering if you'd be interested in bartering. Like if I put your podcast, or if I put your business on my podcast and allow people to use a specific promo code just so you can track them back to this episode, or if I would also allow you to come to my events and you can meet some other people who might be interested in your services. And then I'm just a natural connector and a natural networker. So I was just always like, oh, you need photos? You need to talk to this person. Oh, she did my photos for this. And so she said, yeah, she was completely open to it. And it is 4 years later, and I still use a lot of those photos. Like one of the photos she took of me, one of the photos that she took of me is actually on the cover of one of my books. And so do not dismiss the power of bartering, because bartering, the thing that makes bartering is amazing. The thing that makes bartering is amazing. Y'all, why can't I get that out? The thing that makes bartering amazing is that both people get to keep their money in their pocket. It helps really to cultivate relationships, and it allows you to invest in more of those essentials that we talked about when it comes to your budget. I also have seen the way that bartering can establish a stronger network because it gets the word out about you and your business. And it's kind of like affiliate marketing. You could even look at doing, okay, we're going to do some profit sharing where if I get you X amount of clients, then maybe I get a portion of it. So that's something that you should be thinking about, because again, we want to work smarter. In the same way I'm all about systems and processes, I'm all about y'all being able to make the most of your dollar and get the most back for your investments. So this is our Mastering Your Money training. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. I am going to offer I'll put a business startup cost template in the, I was about to say caption because I'd be on Instagram. I'm going to put it underneath this video for you to be able to just kind of start thinking through, like, what are the costs associated with your business? Because I remember being extremely surprised a couple years ago to realize that my business was costing less than $500 a month to run. And I'm like, what is that? Like, that's crazy. So I'm like, if I'm bringing in, you know, which I wasn't at the time, but I'm like, if I could bring in 5,000 a month and still keep these costs this low, I'm doing well. So, starting to think about the different costs that are associated with your business is helpful. And then being able to put them into those different categories that we just talked about, as far as essentials, opportunities, and aspirations. And if you need assistance with that, and just kind of want to bounce some ideas off of me, definitely feel free to shoot me a DM. Or if you like, no, I need a little bit more than that, you can book a strategy session. That is in the on your dash. If you're on the home part of Circle, our community platform, booking a one-on-one call is on the left-hand side under links. And if you're on the dashboard, um, there is a link to book a call with me on that home page. So either way, either shoot me a DM or book a session. I would be happy to talk more about it with you, because like I said, I really love talking about finance. It's just very fascinating and can really vary depending on the person. So I hope you guys enjoyed this masterclass. The recording will be up shortly. And if you're watching the replay, just know that no matter when you're watching this, you can still reach out to me. All right. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.